Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got 5 NFL superstars destined to win their first MVP soon. Let's check this out.
The NFL MVP award is one of the hardest awards to win in major sports. However, in today's video, I want to talk about the 5 NFL players who are destined to win their first NFL MVP award in the coming years. Now, before I get into my top 5 list, I did want to hand out 4 honorable mentions. I know that's a lot of honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's a lot, nigga.
At least deserve a mention in today's video. The 4 mentions I want to talk about are going to be Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Anthony Richardson, and Justin Herbert. For Brock Purdy, I just don't think he's ever going to get national respect because of how good the team is around him. But he's very young and very talented and has already proven.
But I do think Brock Purdy's a good QB. So we'll have to give I think we'll never know how good he will truly be without all the weapons around him, because I believe after this year, the Niners are going to lock him down and I'm saying give him like probably like 5-year deal worth what, fucking $50+ million a year or some shit.
Can win one.
Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 60 mil, because that's where it's trending up to be right now.
Or within the next couple years, because he has a pretty good roster around him in Dallas. And
no, the fuck he doesn't. Let's keep it a buck. Outside of CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, they don't really have any weapons.
I think he's definitely going to be.
Because Brandon Cooks is getting older.
Last year. Then there's Anthony Richardson. This
AR for sure. He's a dark horse to win MVP. I believe he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year this year.
To that spot, I definitely don't think it's going to happen next year, but I think within the next 10 years, if he stays healthy, he has a chance. And lastly, Justin Herbert. I think he was the closest player to making this list that was left off of the list. For Justin Herbert, I think he is ridiculously talented and arguably better than some of the quarterbacks that I have in this list. But the situation around him right now doesn't really give him a fair chance of winning the MVP award as of today. But after maybe 5 or 6 years, I definitely think he'll be in the conversations pretty consistently. But with that all being said, if you go on to enjoy today's video, I think you guys will enjoy my channel, so hit the like and subscribe button. But with that being said, let's hop into the list. Coming in at number 5, we'll be discussing Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. For his career, he has 11,764.
If he doesn't pop off this year, I mean, like,
interceptions.
What can you say, bro?
Jalen Hurts is arguably
because they have so many weapons
than some of the quarterbacks that I had mentioned in the honorable mentions.
You've got probably a top 5 receiver in AJ Brown, a top 10, probably top 15 receiver in Devontae Smith. You got one of the best tight ends in the league, top 5 tight end in Dallas Goedert. You got one of the best offensive lines in the league. You got one of the tallest young receivers at 6'7" in Johnny Wilson. And then they also drafted Ainias Smith, who is probably one of the most underrated rookie wide receivers that came out of the draft. So this team, and plus they brought in Saquon Barkley to take off more of the stress of that run game and shit. So all the weight won't be on Jalen Hurts' shoulders. But he should be really good this season. If he doesn't, then hey, he's just probably not a good quarterback. But I think he is a good quarterback, and if he does pop off this year, then he should be in contention for MVP.
But I do feel as if that Jalen Hurts has already shown the ability to get to that MVP,
because he was in the MVP conversation a couple years ago.
I do think that he's going to have a really good shot at winning it within the next couple years.
Gotta leave that tush push shit at home, though, bro. Can't just tush push your way to an MVP. I'm sorry.
A dominant set of wide receivers with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, not to mention Dallas Goedert. This year, he brings in Saquon Barkley to really just solidify how dominant this offense should be the next couple years. And defensively speaking, it's good enough to lead a team to a really positive record. Jalen Hurts was already in MVP conversations back in 2022 when arguably had he stayed healthy, he would have won the award. So I do feel as if that we have to at least
Mahomes was too good that year that he won MVP.
Get to that level and arguably almost come this close to winning an MVP award, but after the injury came on, it obviously wasn't deserving to go to somebody else. So what can Jalen Hurts do to win the MVP award? Well, I think he has kind of a smaller window in comparison to some of these other quarterbacks on this list, because I don't think this Eagles team is going to be able to keep all the pieces around Jalen Hurts to make him an MVP level quarterback. That's not to say that the Eagles are going to fall off a cliff within 5 years. They won't. They'll still be a dominant team, and Jalen Hurts will lead them to many, many good records. But I do think the window of this team being Super Bowl caliber like they are now may be a little bit smaller than their window of just being a really good team. I do feel as if Jalen Hurts will be in the conversations at certain
Yo,
points
hold up
of
now.
just being a really good team.
Why would
if
this is a weird ass bitch. Why the fuck is he hugging him like that?
Jalen Hurts will be in the conversation.
Like, let him up
this season, and I do think for the next maybe 2-3 years he's going to have a legitimate
Nigga getting a little
chance
too
to win his
handsy
first
right
MVP. All he really needs to do is have similar statistics to what he did in 2022, maybe just improve upon some of his just turnover issues and maybe some more passing yards and maybe some more touchdowns, but I don't feel as if it has to be that major of a change. The only thing that will hold him back will be the turnovers because he had a bunch of them in 2023. If he can limit those to like he did in 2022 or 2021, I think he's going to be in for an MVP-like season. So all in all, I don't know when he's going to win an MVP award, but I do think he'll be in the conversations. But let's go ahead and hop into number 4, which is going to be Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Now, similar to Anthony Richardson, we don't really have a big enough sample size to definitively say that Jordan Love will win an MVP award at some point. But after what I saw in the back half of last year and heading into
he could definitely win it this year.
I saw a quarterback in Jordan Love that has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So with that being said, I do think he'll have a chance to win some MVPs. And you can make the argument that had Jordan Love play like he did in the back half of the season for the entire season, that he probably would have ran away with the MVP award. For his career, he has 4,765
my glorious King Lamar
yards,
Jackson
35
deserved the
touchdowns, and
MVP
14
last year.
interceptions. And the majority of those stats did come in 2023 when he had 4,159 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. And the majority of those 11 interceptions did come extremely early in the season, so I do feel as if he is in for a big time year if he's
because he started to really get comfortable
again in the back.
It only took him getting used to, you know what I'm saying, being a starter.
On this Green Bay Packers team, I do think that you see a recipe for this team to be really awesome the next couple years. They have an awesome set of wide receivers that may lack the star power of like a CD, AJ, Jamar, Tyreek type of guy, but they all play a complementary role to one another, and I do think that there is some pretty star potential.
Like, I feel like it's better to have multiple, you know what I'm saying, receivers that can step up and be a true number one wide receiver at any given moment, rather than having just that one superstar receiver that can just get signaled out and double teamed every game, bro. So I feel like the Packers offense is so unique with how many weapons they have, like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. They also have Dontavian Wicks, Bo Melton, Malik Heath. All of those guys can step up and be true number one wide receivers at any given moment. Then you got a great tight end duo with Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. So hey, they might actually be really dangerous this year.
Tight ends who I think are pretty good players
because you can't really signal just one guy out.
Something at some point. The offensive line is currently going through a bit of a
they can beat you in any way. Do you add Josh Jacobs to that backfield
the next couple years? Running back
along
wise,
with Marshawn Lloyd
to help you out this year. If he plays like he did a couple years ago, we're talking about maybe the best running back in the league. And defensively speaking, with the additions of Xavier McKinney and some other pieces, I do think that defense is in for a big bounce back year after last year. So I think surrounding Jordan Love is a pretty solid set of players that can help him, but I think the big thing that elevates Jordan Love to being an MVP-like guy is going to be his head coach. Matt LaFleur, to me, is one of the best minds we have in the league today. He's an offensive genius, and whenever you have a quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers and a Jordan Love, it really does make his job a tad bit easier. I do expect Jordan Love to have a big season in 2024. I think that he should be able to replicate what we saw late in last year, the entire season, and if he does, I think he has a very good chance of winning an NFL MVP. Next up at number 3, we'll be discussing Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a kind of risky pick in my opinion because we've already seen Joe Burrow play a couple years, and thus far through his career really has never been considered a serious contender for an MVP award. But I do think
he's dealt with injuries, bro. Like, health has been a problem for him in his NFL career so far. I think that's why.
To not have him at least in the conversations for the next couple awards for his career, and keep in mind he did miss games in his rookie year and this most recent year, but for his career he has 14,083 passing yards, 97 touchdowns, and 37 interceptions, and he had a really good 2-year stretch between 2021 and 2022 where he was really dominant out there on the field. This is a Bengals team that has already shown the ability to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, so it's not like this team is going to go anywhere, so the team's success will be there and will allow him to win that award. For me, it really just comes down to, can Joe Burrow stay healthy, and can Joe Burrow elevate his game higher than some of the players on this list, either the names I've already listed or some of the names I'm going to be talking about in the future. But he also has to elevate his game above guys like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, who have already won MVPs. Joe Burrow has all the physical intangibles. He has everything that you want in a quarterback. Again, like I mentioned earlier, he has the team and support system around him to get him to that point. For Joe Burrow, it all really just comes down to him putting it all together in one big season, and he has to stay healthy. healthy. Because in 2022 and 2021, when he was healthy, he put together some awesome seasons where he had over 4,000 passing yards and over 30 touchdowns. A little bit high on the interception count, but it's okay. So again, as I mentioned, for him to get to that point of winning an MVP and being considered a serious contender to win that MVP award, he's got to put it all together, which he hasn't quite yet done so, at least to the highest degree that we think Joe Burrow can. Again, one healthy Joe Burrow is a fairly consensus top 5 player in the quarterback position, and I do think as long as he's considered that level of a guy, he's always going to have a chance to win an MVP award. I think it all just comes down to him putting it all together in one massive season. That could be this upcoming season, or that could be 5 years down the line. I think Joe Burrow has a very solid chance of at least winning one MVP before his career is over with. Coming in at number 2, we'll be discussing Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills.
So I'm guessing CJ Stroud might be number 1.
Bills, window of contention does feel like it's kind of dwindling at this point, but that's
I feel like Josh Allen can carry them to a certain extent. Like at least they can like get a wild card spot. I feel like, because as long as Josh Allen is able to stay healthy, I feel like the Bills have a good shot at
he has
being good this year.
22,703 passing yards, 167 touchdowns.
Because their weapons aren't the worst, bro. They still have pretty decent weapons.
Consistently hold Josh Allen back from being considered a comparable quarterback to Patrick Mahomes is the turnover issues that he does struggle with. If Josh Allen would just limit his interceptions to like less than 10 per season,
I've been saying this for a while now.
We're talking about a guy that could easily be compared to Patrick Mahomes a lot more often, but because of the inconsistent play at certain points in his career and because of the interception issue, oftentimes we do have Josh Allen labeled a tier below Patrick Mahomes, which I do think is the right way to talk about it. But again, if Josh Allen,
I'm gonna say this right now, I might get a lot of backlash for this shit, but I feel like Josh Allen is the Dak Prescott of the AFC. I'm gonna say that right now, bro. I feel like he is the Dak Prescott of the AFC, because you know the interception issues, both of them have that same exact issue, and plus he chokes in the playoffs, bro. Chokes in the playoffs time and time again, especially against Patrick Mahomes, bro. Like, come on now. Let's keep it a buck.
Consistently struggling with interceptions. This dude is a ridiculously good and talented player that he could be compared to a Patrick Mahomes, who has obviously won a couple MVPs in his career. Last year, I felt like was sort of the last hurrah.
But he still is way better than Dak Prescott.
Several years, but
I'm just saying, like, the comparison is there.
Struggled at certain points and then came back and bounced back, and then had a duel with Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs before falling short yet again. And now they're kind of transitioning to a lot of new pieces and a lot of retooling of different positions. And I do think this team is still a competent roster and still could easily make the playoffs, but I don't really know if they're going to have the same level of team success that we have seen the past couple years. Again, that's not to say that he's not going to ever have that same level of success throughout his career, because this is only a 28-year-old quarterback, and I think he easily has probably another.
And he's only 28.
So within these potential 10 seasons, all we got to expect
like Josh Allen been in the
league
league forever
maybe
now.
5 really good seasons and 5 just like decent seasons. And within those 5 really good seasons, I think those are his best chances to win an MVP award. And when you are a talent like Josh Allen, you're always going to be in the conversations, honestly, regardless of your team's success. So he's going to have plenty of opportunities to get to that MVP award, and I do think he will end up with at least one before his career is done with. But at number 1, 100%. I think we all know where I'm going with this one. I'm talking about CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans. Again, kind of like Anthony Richardson and Jordan Love, this one might be extremely early to already say that he's an MVP level guy, especially.
I mean, I don't think it's too early, bro, because he showed it last year. He was actually in the MVP conversation before he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't get hurt, he would have definitely been like top 5, top 3 finalist for MVP.
Mentioned in this video,
and he's got the weapons to do it, especially adding Stephon Diggs now.
Arguably the best rookie seasons we've seen ever. I think that there are some other guys out there who had similar seasons, like a Dak Prescott, even Justin Herbert had a really good rookie season. But I think the way that we saw CJ Stroud just play the game at such a high level makes him somebody who's easily capable of winning a couple MVPs throughout his career. I think it also does help CJ Stroud's case for winning an MVP because he really does have the backing of the national media.
Boom.
Similar to some guys like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, who the media loves for obviously good reason, the media does love them some CJ Stroud. So he's going to get the national attention, and when he plays at a very high level, it's going to be elevated in front of the line over some of the quarterbacks on this list. For example, if somebody like, let's say, Joe Burrow goes out there and throws for 300 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and CJ Stroud does the exact same thing, I think it's more likely that Stroud is going to be mentioned more often in the national media media on apps like SportsCenter, ESPN, and on
Does he have a
various
point?
media coverage websites and forums, it's likely that Stroud is going to get elevated slightly higher than somebody like Joe Burrow. In Stroud's rookie season, he threw for 4,108 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and basically single-handedly with a couple other pieces such as the coach and many other players, but they resurrected that Houston Texans team. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL for many, many, many years, and he resurrected them to be a relevant team that can make it to the second round of the playoffs and now has an extremely bright future. So I think with all those things being said, the national media, the team success, the abilities of CJ Stroud, we're talking about somebody who easily could win an MVP award next year and for the remaining of his career. Again, we're talking about a 22-year-old quarterback that's coming off his first NFL season. I think he has unlimited potential and a bunch of really good pieces around him to get him to that point. The only thing that's really holding back CJ Stroud from maybe being considered a more serious contender for MVP this upcoming season is because of how young he is. But I think because of how dominant he was in his rookie year, barring some sort of sophomore slump, Stroud's going to be in for a big year. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. And if I missed any names,
what do you guys think? Y'all let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on post notifications, notified whenever I drop another banger video. We're on the road to 400 subs. Let me get there for more banger NFL reactions like this. And without further ado, I'm out. Gang!